These are the new metal releases for August 15th, 2025. I have 5 albums to talk about, including a groove metal band featuring a member of the Cavalera family. I have some death metal that blends hard rock into their sound. Then there's some power metal, progressive metal, and the return of one of the founding members of Megadeth. So let's get into it. Incite are back, and honestly, they've never sounded heavier. The new album, Savage New Times, just dropped on August 15th, and this thing is pure chaos in the best way possible. 10 tracks, just over half an hour long, but it's 30 minutes of nonstop thrash and groove metal that'll have you headbanging from start to finish. Right out the gate, the opening track is called Lies. The song sets a tone with blistering riffs and lyrics about the lies we're surrounded by every day. Then you get Fuck With Me, I'm Fired Up, which is basically a mosh pit anthem. There are also other great tracks, like Just a Rat and Chucked Off. And these are about toxic relationships and fake people, while No Mercy, No Forgiveness is all about shutting down anyone who doubts you. And then there's Dolores, which slows things down, but in a really dark and haunting way. It's inspired by Richie Cavalera's childhood nightmares, and it definitely stands out. Musically, the album's got that perfect mix of thrash, speed, and groove-heavy breakdowns. You hear influence from bands like Pantera, Soulfly, Hatebreed, and Machine Head, but Incite keep it raw and very much their own. The production's killer too. Steve Etz handled it, and Arthur Visk mixed it, so every riff and breakdown hits like a brick wall. The album cover's pretty cool. It was created by Marcelo Vasco, and it just looks really good. I like it a lot. And a lot of fans and critics are calling it one of the band's strongest releases. It's fast, it's angry, it's heavy, and there's zero filler. This band has been around for about 20 years, and they're proving they're still hungry, still pissed off, still ready to tear it up. Savage New Times is them at their absolute best. My score will be an 8.5 out of 10. Let me know what you think of this album and how would you rate it. Danish metal band Baest, or Baest, or however you say it, I don't know. But they've released their 4th studio album, Colossal, and it's pretty good. This time around, the band decided to shake things up by mixing their usual brutal death metal sound with some classic rock and heavy metal influences. Instead of sticking to their typical aggressive approach, Baest has embraced more fun and a dynamic style. You can hear elements of classic hard rock woven throughout the heavy riffs and growling vocals. The band wasn't afraid to incorporate cowbell, vintage metal guitar work, and even some southern rock flavors into their death metal foundation. The opening track, Stormbringer, sets the tone perfectly with its groovy rolling riffs that builds serious momentum. It's the kind of song that makes you want to move, which always isn't common with death metal. King of the Sun pushes even further into classic metal territory with epic anthemic riffing that reminds me of bands like Judas Priest, but with a darker edge. Misfortunate Son is really interesting because the title is a play on a popular song by CCR, but it also has these riffs. It's almost like these Dokken, George Lynch style guitar riffs, but mixed with cattle decapitation death metal. So it's a weird combination, but I think it works. Then there's the track Colossal. This has some slow and heavy guitar riffs. I thought it was something along the lines of Cannibal Corpse's Scourge of Iron. There are also some cool guest appearances that add to the flavor to the mix. And this helps bridge the gap between old school metal and the modern extreme metal. Now, it's not a perfect album. There was one track, an instrumental called Light the Beacons. It seemed a little out of place, but I liked it considering that it sounded like something you would hear on like a Joe Satriani album. But overall, I thought it was very good. My score, again, 8.5 out of 10. Solid, enjoyable, and it really blends genres without losing its identity. Baest took a risk that paid off, and they created something both familiar and fresh. Here's another brand new release from a more established band. They're called Hammer King, and this one is called Make Metal Royal Again. Released on August 15th, 2025 through Reaper Entertainment. And this is their 7th studio album. Now, Hammer King has always leaned into this whole royal, heroic theme, and this record is no different. Think of soaring choruses, big riffs, lots of songs that feel built for a live crowd to just sing along with. The album runs about 46 minutes with 10 tracks. It kicks off strong with King for a Day and follows up with the title track, Make Metal Royal Again. If you're into anthemic, fist-pumping power metal, these songs will probably do it for you. There's even a cool guest spot from Steffi Stuber on a song in German, which I believe is Schlaf Kaiser Schlaf. I'm not sure if my pronunciation is correct, but pretty good song, a little more emotional, but it still has that battle-ready energy. But one of my favorites here is For Crown and Kingdom. It's pure melodic power metal. It reminded me a lot of Hammerfall in their prime. Production-wise, the album sounds very big. It was mixed and mastered by Jacob Hansen, who has worked with tons of big metal bands, so you know it's going to hit hard. Plus, this is the first album with a new drummer, Count Shandorian, and you can feel the extra energy in the rhythm section. Now, is this the best Hammer King album ever? I wouldn't go that far. It feels a little by the number at times, but the themes are fun, and it's the kind of band that you know what you're going to get. So they're not breaking any new ground. They're consistent. It's classic power metal, catchy hooks, very over the top. And if that's what you like, check it out. I think for me, it's a solid 7 out of 10. Not a game changer, but it's just a fun album if you're already a fan. So here's one that really caught me by surprise, Band of Brothers by Warmen. It's their 7th studio album. Honestly, the first time I've ever listened to this band. I went in not knowing what to expect, and I ended up really enjoying it. The whole thing gave me the impression of a mix between In Flames and Dream Theater. Heavy, melodic, but also this like progressive, technical aspect, which keeps things interesting. The record was also released on August 15th, 2025 through Reaper Entertainment. Musically, the album blends lots of styles. There's tracks like the opener, Band of Brothers, and another good song called 9 Lives. These songs have that high energy, melodic death metal sound. And then there are other tracks like When Doves Cry Blood, where they slow things down and it adds a more darker atmospheric feel. Then you got Kingdom of Rust, which kind of sneaks in a little fun nod to the Warmen Brothers garage with guitar work that sounds like an engine starting up. And you can't forget the Stratovarius cover, The Kiss of Judas. And it works really well here. It's really cool to see them pay tribute to Finnish metal history. Production-wise, the album sounds crisp and powerful. The mix highlights the drums and bass without burying the keyboards, which is huge because John's playing is such a big part of the band's identity. Overall, I give this one another 8.5 out of 10. As a first-time listener, I walked away impressed. It's heavy, melodic, and it's got enough variety to keep me coming back. Definitely worth checking out if you're into modern melodic death metal. Okay, I got one more album for you. It is Unbreakable from Ellefson-Soto. This came out on August 15, 2025 through Rat Pack Records. It's the second album from the project featuring David Ellefson, former Megadeth bassist, and Jeff Scott Soto, who you probably know from so many different bands, Yngwie Malmsteen, Sons of Apollo, and a bunch of others. Their first record was called Vacation in the Underworld. It came out in 2022. I did a full review of that back then. And I think this one is a little heavier and a little bit more personal. Right from the start, you could tell it's a blend of classic metal and modern hard rock. The title track is called Unbreakable. This sets a tone with big riffs and a strong chorus. Then there's the song Shout. This one really stands out as kind of a rallying cry against negativity. It's got that unity theme. It feels like a good go-over while live. Also some cool guest spots. We have Laura Guldermond from the band Burning Witches, which is one of my favorite old-time, all-female metal bands. And that song is called Poison Tears. And of course, Tim Ripper Owens, who happens to just appear on so many different albums that come out these days. He has very recognizable vocals. And you always know it's him when you hear him. And that song is called Vengeance. Just Musically, I enjoyed it overall. Riffs are solid. Soto still sounds great. Production by Chris Collier gives everything a polished punch. But at the same time, some of it seems a little generic. For example, Snakes and Bastards is super cheesy. And there are a couple tracks which are just kind of forgettable. But still, the album hits. There's another track I didn't mention called SOAB or SOAB. I don't know how you say that. But that's one of the heavier tracks. And another one called Hate You Hate Me. Pretty decent. All in all, this one is a 7 out of 10 for me. Some parts are enjoyable, and there are some heavy metal moments for sure, but it doesn't always rise above the pack. That's it for the new metal releases for August 15, 2025. Overall, some solid stuff to dive into. I'm curious which of these albums you're most excited about. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I always like hearing what stood out to you. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next one. If you want more music, check out last week's episode where I covered the releases from August 8th. So really some good albums in that video too. See you in the next one.